What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA. All right, guys, we know Celebration is only about a week away. Next weekend, Celebration will hit. And there have been rumors floating around that Kathleen Kennedy is thinking about calling it a career at the event. Now, personally, I don't buy it, okay? Or at the very least, I'll only believe it when I actually see it. All of those rumors are just rumors, okay? Because the rumors of her demise have been around as long as Disney has owned Lucasfilm. And at this point, it's just like, nah, I'm not going to believe it anymore, okay? She's probably going to stay there for another 10 years as far as I'm concerned until I hear proof positive or see it that, yeah, she's out, all right? But what I did want to talk about, okay, given that this is the case, that people are saying that she's going to announce her retirement at Celebration, I wanted to talk about the what-if scenario. If it happens, then what? What needs to happen next after this, okay? Who comes in or whatever. And not necessarily the names, mind you, because there's always going to be names thrown out about, oh, this person should take over as head of Lucasfilm or that person should take over as head of Lucasfilm. I'm more interested in the philosophy behind what went wrong with Star Wars in the first place and then what needs to be done about it going forward. Check this out real quick. Now, this is a snippet right here from a interview on Fortune magazine that Kathleen Kennedy did. This guy, Steve K, was basically responding to one of Neurotic's posts talking about basically, yeah, Marvel, Disney, everything sucks right now, Star Wars included. And he's saying basically, yeah, when this is the objective of Star Wars, I'm sure George Lucas had no idea that Kathleen Kennedy was going to do this with what he created, literally turned it into an identity politics experiment. All right. So let's actually listen to this interview and see if we could kind of pick up on some of the problems that Star Wars is about to have right from the outset. OK, right from the outset and straight from the horse's mouth herself, Kathleen Kennedy. Let's listen to this.
We have 50% of our executive team are women, and 6 out of 8 of the people in my story group are women. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that would be surprised that we're making Star Wars movies and the majority of the people involved in the development of those stories are women. And I think that it's making a huge difference in the stories that we're trying to tell. I feel it is going to happen. We are going to hire a woman who's going to direct a Star Wars movie. I have no doubt. On the other hand, I want to make sure that we put somebody in that position who's set up for success. It's not just a token job to look out and try to find a woman that we could put into a position of directing Star Wars. And it is interesting because I have a huge number of men who call me constantly and tell me how much of a Star Wars fan they are and how much they want to get involved in anything to do with Star Wars. I don't have a lot of women who call and have those conversations with me.
Now, listen, I want you guys to understand that the franchise of Star Wars was destroyed by this woman's way of thinking, okay? It has nothing to do with her being a woman, but it's more about her way of thinking through this whole situation. Because the last thing she said was that the number of men that were calling her, right, to ask if they could be a part of Star Wars, but there were no women. No women were calling about this, okay? This is a franchise that's built on vision, all right? It was birthed by a visionary filmmaker, and this thing is being pushed forward with no vision whatsoever, okay? At least not in terms of what the original filmmaker's vision was. What you just heard was her direction for Star Wars. It's not about the storytelling. It's not about the franchise. It was about elevating women. That's where her whole goal was from the very beginning, okay? Again, this is before The Force Awakens dropped. All right, that's been her goal the entire time. 50% of the executives are women. 6 out of 8 story group members are women, okay? This wasn't about Star Wars. This was about gender equity, okay? The DEI monster came and killed Star Wars. Diversity, equity, inclusion. This was about gender equity. That's all this was about, all right? So it was already getting off on the wrong foot. And listen, Star Wars is a visionary's film, okay? George Lucas was a visionary. He saw something, he saw a universe, he saw storylines, he saw characters in his head, and he took what was in his head and he put it on film, okay? That's what I mean by visionary filmmaking. It's not some joker that just went out and adapted a book Or somebody that says, here's a script that somebody needs a director for. Let me go ahead and be the director of this script. It's like you got all of these men calling up, trying to give their opinion, say, hey, I want to be a part of this thing, okay? And they're calling up eagerly and they're trying to be a part of this, all right? But then she hires all of these women. Like, what vision did the women you hire have? Okay, you need vision. These cats clearly had some sort of a vision because they banging your line saying, hey, put me in, coach. All right, I got ideas. I got stuff that I want to accomplish. Okay, 0 women called, but yet most of these people are women. So what visions did these women have when it came to making Star Wars? All right, that's the problem. That's the problem right there. This chick was running the company like a gender equity assignment. That's not what Star Wars ever was. It was George Lucas's mind put out there on film, okay? Similar to, again, how Tolkien, okay, with Lord of the Rings, that was his vision, all right? And you take his vision and you try to put it out there on film, you got to stick as close to that vision as humanly possible. There is nothing visionary about Star Wars right now, okay? That's the biggest problem because the final boss here has no clue what she's doing. I don't care if she's a great producer. She's a lousy visionary, okay? And this is a franchise where you need a 30,000-foot view of what you're trying to do, of what Star Wars is going to be so that you can see where it's going, okay? It's a classic case of missing the forest for the trees. This is what ruined Star Wars, okay? And in order to undo it, you're going to have to go back and start focusing on the forest and not these individual trees, all right? They're so focused on these individual trees. Oh, look, Baby Yoda. Oh, look, there's a Zeb cameo or whatever, right? Oh, we're bringing Ahmed Best back as a Jedi. Isn't that nice? Like, okay, where does all of this mean? Okay, you're giving us a lot of member berries, all right? You're giving us a lot of nostalgia and fan service, okay? But at the end of the day, we actually need a story to care about. Otherwise, all of this crap can just burn up. We don't care. Like, what is the overarching vision of the franchise right now? What are we doing? How does any of this fan servicey bullshit mean anything? What is the path forward? That's the question. Okay, it's like, what's the payoff? The payoff is the fan service to these guys. The payoff is Baby Yoda. Oh, we put Baby Yoda in a thing. Isn't he cute? You know? Oh, we put Ahmed Best in as a Jedi. Isn't that cool? You know, like Zeb pops up as a cameo. You got a live action Zeb. You got a live action Bo-Katan. You got all of these, what's his name? Cad Bane. You got all of these live action, bringing all the cartoon stuff to the live action. Isn't that cool? Okay, what's the point? What's the point? Does anybody care about this stuff other than just the fan servicey stuff? No. That's why I said the payoff is the fan service that they're given. And that's this lousy storytelling. And this is what happens when you don't have a vision, because all you can do is rely on those member berries. That's it. They don't have any idea of what fans even want. That's why they had to completely shut down production on everything. And they haven't had a film in 3 years. And they're probably not going to have a film for another 2 years. Because they have no idea what they're doing. They can't come up with an idea for a film. Why? Because they don't have a vision. Okay? They got to keep going back to the original trilogy. All right? Oh, we got to make Obi-Wan. You know, we got to play around in those eras that have already been created and done, and we're just filling in the gaps. All right? Oh, let's put in the Bad Batch. That'll fill in the gap from here to here. All right? And then we got Obi-Wan, and that'll fill in the gaps from here to here. All right? And then you got Andor. And look, I like Andor, okay? But it's still just filling in the gaps. They don't know what else to do. That's the problem, all right? And Mando really is still just kind of filling in gaps. Okay, now we got the sequel trilogy established. Now we need to fill in the gaps between the original and the sequels. And that's it. So if whoever is running Lucasfilm next is not like a hardcore Star Wars fan that also has a vision for the next era of the franchise, because you need to move into a different era. Okay, you got to prove that you can do more than just tell stories about Luke and Darth Vader and all of these guys. You got to move it somewhere else. Otherwise, the franchise is just going to die. All right. Like even Star Trek realized like, hey, yo, we can't keep telling stories about the original cast. OK, those guys are aging out, number one. But number two, it's like we've already played around with those stories along. OK, it's time to go to the next generation. OK, and that's what they did. They started the next generation and they gave the franchise new life by doing so. And that's what Star Wars needs. You need Star Wars, the next generation at this point. What does that look like? And the reality is, if you don't do that, it's just going to be more of the same. Okay? You know, you can't just be this crap right here. I want you to listen to this, okay? Because this is the other key piece of why Star Wars has gone completely wrong. Listen to this segment.
Movies, and the majority of the people involved in the development of those stories are women. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's making a huge difference in the stories that we're trying to tell, in the stories that we're trying to tell, in the stories that we're trying to tell.
Did you hear that? The stories we're trying to tell, okay? As opposed to the stories that our fans want to hear told. That's the biggest problem. That's the other fundamental problem when you take over a franchise. You know, look, if you want to create your own thing and do your own thing and tell your stories that you want to tell or that you're trying to tell, be my guest, okay? We need original stuff. Make those stories. Do your best job with it. I don't care. And the market would actually determine whether you're successful or you're a failure. But when you're taking over an established franchise, you can't just come in and hijack it and tell the stories you want to tell. You got to tell the stories that Star Wars fans want to hear, okay? That's why Star Wars is failing. Listen, Kathleen, you didn't create Star Wars. You are not the architect of the franchise, okay? That would be George. Your only move once you take over stuff is just to extend the universe under the exact same vision that George had. All right, his original vision. And let's look at that, because the question is, well, what was George's original vision for Star Wars? He has answered this question many, 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 many times.
You know, it's hard for people to realize, and I'm not supposed to say this, and I wasn't supposed to say it then, but, you know, it's a film for 12-year-olds. That's...
But it brings out the kid in all of us, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, it was designed to be a film like mythology of this is what we stand for.
George was about making mythology, okay? That's what Star Wars is, okay? It's steeped in the grandest storytelling tradition of them all. Myth making, all right? Going back to the days of the Greeks and the Romans, you know, creating myths. That's what Star Wars is. It's myth making. It's creating legendary, iconic stories, okay? And characters for people to listen to. And why? Let's listen to him say it. He says why. Listen to what he says.
You're about to enter the real world. You're 12 years old. You're going to go on into the big world. You're moving away from your parents being the center focus. You're probably scared. You don't know what's going to happen. And here's a little idea of some of the things you should pay attention to. You know, friendships, honesty, and trust and doing the right thing, living on the light side, avoiding the dark side.
Hey, Kathy, did you hear him say anything about diversity, equity, and inclusion? Did you hear any of that? Did you hear him say, oh, we must see ourselves in this and that? Did you hear that come out of his mouth? No? Oh, okay. Just checking. So that young kids, right, headed out into the world will have a basis of how to act. The values that you are instilled with. That's what myths and, you know, legends are always about, you know, instilling values in you from a culture, okay? Good versus evil. Like you said, stay in the light, avoid the dark, right? Courage, friendship, honesty, and truth, okay? Values that we are no longer really putting into society. I just got through talking about that on the last video. Is that's what entertainment is. It's about, hey, these are the values that we as the older people want to pass down, the traditions and so on, to the culture, to the kids, okay? That's what it's about. So, in my opinion, Star Wars needs to return to the original values of George Lucas, okay? The visions that George Lucas had for what he wanted his franchise and what he wanted this thing to be. It's not enough just to fire Kathleen Kennedy, you see. It's not enough just for Kathleen Kennedy to say, okay, I'm done, I'm hanging it up, I'm no longer a part of this, okay? And it's not enough just to get some good directors and some good writers to go out and write material, okay? They need somebody, I agree, that has been in the trenches, okay? They need somebody that knows how to write, knows how to direct, knows how to work with actors so that you can get the best out of the entertainment formula. But above all, you need a vision of what Star Wars should be. And you need to go right back to what George's vision is. You can add to it, okay? You can expand his vision a little bit more, but you can't go too far with it, okay? That's still the main thrust of Star Wars. And once you get away from that, okay, it's no longer Star Wars. It's just a science fiction-y action show or whatever. And that's the main issue. Now, who is the person with the vision? Is it Filoni? All right. Is it Favreau? I have no idea. Okay. Do they have the vision that George Lucas had for his franchise? I mean, I don't know. You know, you guys let me know in the comments below, but that's really what it's about. It's about the vision of the creator, okay? You need a visionary to run this thing. Otherwise, it's all going up in smoke. Anyway, folks, what do you think about this situation? Kathleen may or may not be gone, but who's going to be coming in to replace her? Go ahead, jump down in the comments. Give me your thoughts and opinions on that. Thanks for watching. See you next time.